Ba-doom boom. Ba 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 ba-doom boom.
Full of shit.
Ba ba-doom
Full
boom.
of shit.
Ba ba ba-doom boom.
Yeah, we got shit
Ba ba-doom
on our
boom.
minds.
Ba ba ba-doom
Yeah.
Ba 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 ba.
Isaac's here again.
boom.
Nice.
Welcome, Isaac.
It's nice to be here
To Full
again.
of Shit. Again. Number 2.
You know, you probably got all those letters and stuff.
Which ones?
Mostly from my mom.
Oh, the fan mail.
The
That's
fan
what
mail.
it was.
Yeah, they were requesting to have me back.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
mom specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 3
Oh.
letters from her. First was a love letter.
Oh,
The next 2 were, and when are you going to have Isaac back on the show?
yeah.
So I should have let her know that you're going to be on today. But
So Isaac, I gotta ask, do you like number 1 or number 2 better?
Number 1 or number... Well, this is full of shit, so
yeah,
number 2.
I
Exactly.
think I prefer the number 2 when I'm at work because it takes up more time. It's a nicer break.
You get
You get a feeling of relief.
Yeah.
you don't feel pressured to get back to the workspace.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm at home and I have to do a number 2, I'm like, oh, this is such a waste of time.
It's an inconvenience.
I have my free time. Whereas at work, it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I get to.
I wonder what
Unless-
people did before phones in the bathroom.
They sang.
There's magazines, right? They used to have magazines
They
in
did.
the bathroom.
My dad used to keep a book on the toilet. Shout out to you, Dad.
I think I've seen like a sports, I don't know, almanac for the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh.
My dad had one of those little digital poker games. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
remember
fun.
those.
yeah.
I remember playing
I would play blackjack, but I didn't know how it worked. 'Cause I was little. So I was just kinda,
I think I had one too. A little blackjack game.
My
Those are fun.
my dad had a personal assistant device. It
Yeah.
was
you had a bathroom Alexa.
no, it was like a it was like a iPod before iPods. It was for your notes and
Oh, like
meeting
a
reminders.
PA. or
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever they call.
And it was called an iPack with a Q at the end. It was iPack.
Interesting.
And you could play Bubble Popper on it with the stylus that would come out of the thing. 'Cause-
Wow. See, where my mind went first when you mentioned a personal bathroom assistant thing was a bidet.
Yeah, they have bidets you can hook up to Alexa, I think.
Oh, well, hold up. What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that. Or at least maybe they don't hook up to Alexa, but you can talk to them.
Alexa,
they're like,
wipe me.
They're like smart bidets. I want a bidet.
I've seen
I've-
bidets
I've-
that you can get for real cheap on wish.com.
Do you like just hook them up to your toilet?
I think
Yeah.
it's just it goes in between the toilet hose and the hose that goes to the toilet,
Yeah.
you know?
Just like
And
the
then
supply line.
You just got a handle with it's basically a shower head kind of. A little
Yeah.
smaller or whatever, you know.
I want one. I wonder if Amazon has them.
Honestly, I'm just like I was weirded out by them at first, and I've never
Nah,
tried
man.
one.
I was in it to win it from the beginning.
you tried
It's
one
like,
before?
honestly,
No.
think about it.
Have you?
No, but I just imagine that like you're using cold water or it's
Oh, it'd
not
have
going
to be warm.
Right, you're going to have to get a heated one.
I
They-
don't
they
know how
do
I feel
make-
about the cold.
They do make ones that like heat the water.
That keep some heated water in
You
there
can-
so
yeah.
you're not
Because I feel like you want to relax. You don't want to clench.
Right.
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 That hurts the cleaning. Do you still wipe with the bidet?
You just
I
like.
think it's personal preference, but you'd want to dry, wouldn't you?
I would
That's
think
true.
so.
I wouldn't
I
want
would
a
think
soggy
so.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd probably want to wipe.
But like, think about it. Like, I think I like the idea of having something like when I have like one of those really nasty, terrible ones.
Yeah.
Just have something. Just
Or
sometimes,
sometimes-
have you ever sat down and you get and you get done and you're just like, damn, I should just jump in this shower.
Yeah.
it's like wiping a Sharpie with
Sometimes, yeah.
because it just
Yeah.
keeps going.
It just keeps coming.
I never actually feel clean until I take a shower.
Right.
Like, I'll wipe and I never feel like I get it all.
Right.
Like, I never have a
Oh,
feeling of
God.
satisfaction after wiping.
But here's a question. So is there a certain period of time before you take a shower that you can't if like right before you take a shower I can't poop like right before. Like that's going to be an issue. That just feels weird, you know? And like right after a shower also feels weird to me.
I hate that. When you get out of the shower, 'cause you're like,
Yes.
I'm clean, and now I'm gonna unpurify myself
Right.
again.
I might as well just jump back in.
I just need a buffer space between
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
the facilities of the bathroom.
Yes.
There should just be a toilet in the shower.
Right. There should
That
just
would
be a
solve
shower on
the
the
issue.
toilet.
Have you heard of the waffle stomp?
No, let's not talk about that. That grosses me out.
The what?
No, we're not talking about it.
You know the grate.
We're not talking.
the shower?
Stop.
Where the hair gets caught.
Yeah.
Well, you know what a waffle press is.
Yeah.
You know how they make French fries
Yeah.
with the thing that goes. Yeah. I
That.
think enough said.
Okay. Yeah. Enough said. I agree.
Anyway, as is tradition, I need to generate a question to
Yeah.
ask Isaac. Tim, why don't you distract for me, as is tradition, while I generate one from my cranium?
Isaac,
Yes, sir.
question for you.
I got an answer. Let's see if they match.
It's not like the grand question that will be judged, so
Mhm.
no pressure on this one.
Mhm.
If you could play any stringed instrument upside down, what would it be?
All right. Am I really good at it though?
Yeah, like if you like had to like pick it up and like get good at it.
Like I have to learn it upside down.
yeah, like you
or
have to learn it.
I just don't magically have the talent, right?
No.
No. Well, I was gonna say harp, because that would be freaking cool to play a harp
I
upside
agree.
down.
I agree. I like harp.
Yeah, I'll go with harp.
Harp.
Is playing an instrument upside down any different than playing it right side up?
If you learn it that way, not really.
You have to deal with gravity, I guess. So
I mean, you're still hitting all the notes in the same order.
would
Right.
would like a analog piano, I guess, even work upside down?
Yes. Because I don't know how the hammers work.
That's what I'm wondering. I don't. They have to be under tension, so I
they-
guess it would in that.
They
case.
are.
Because they
well,
rebound up.
Let's
They do.
get a
They
piano.
do. So if you
Let's
if
flip it upside down.
They
You're
have
talking like a
stand-up
grand
pianos,
piano,
though.
right?
Yeah.
Like a grand piano. Okay. Yeah, see like a grand piano, I feel like the hammers might like fall back a little bit, but if you hit the keys hard enough, it'll still like
Send it.
send it.
Hmm.
I think you'd have to at least play harder.
Okay.
So what about like what are they called? The family pianos, the stand-up ones?
Yeah. Those
I don't know if the
probably
hammers are vertical either, but
we had a player piano in our sunroom, and yeah, the hammers are like upright and they hit like
Wow.
I wonder if they have an angle rating, like you can't play this piano more than 70 degrees at an angle.
All right, I have the question. I've
Yes.
generated it.
Yeah.
You're a man.
That's correct.
Your name. You're in a small town, and you're in the town of Alaprio,
That's correct.
and you go by a moniker of Texas Red. A ranger comes into town. How do you deal with this?
First of all,
He has a big iron on his hip.
I didn't even know that they say the name of the town in the song.
In the town of Alaprio lived a stranger one fine. Came a ranger one fine. Something like that. Yeah.
I thought it was Alpharetta.
Maybe that's what it is.
It was what my brain read it as. I'm not sure if that's true or not now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, if I was that man, I would leave that town. 'Cause
Just leave.
knowing the song, I don't know if there's any way I could defend myself from that fate.
He's so fast.
He's
the
horrible.
ranger.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know the outcome is that if you stay and you do everything that you would do normally, you
won't-
would die.
Yeah, you won't get to clear leather even.
Right. You can't even clear leather. Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about the song Big Iron by Marty Robbins.
Yeah. It's a great song.
shoot him when he comes into
Add that to literally
saloon.
every one of your playlists. I don't care what the playlist is called.
Go to do the duel, and instead of 10 paces, take 5 and then shoot him in the back.
I mean, you're an outlaw anyway.
Yeah. Do you think people would turn on you though? Because it's like it's kind of
Probably.
like a
Yeah.
code of honor thing. So now someone would be like, "Well, he shot him in the back, so I'll just shoot him in the back."
That's
fair
definitely because you're as the man who the
Big
I don't
Red.
know the outlaw
Texas Red, yeah.
Texas
Texas
Red.
Yeah.
1 in 19 more, right? Is he the one with the numbers or is
It's
Yeah.
19 men have tried to best him.
who are they
1 in
besting?
19 more. It's the Ranger and Texas Red.
Yeah, but who Who
think
has
it
the
was-
numbers on there?
Texas Red.
Texas Red does.
I think it's 19. I think
Yeah.
I think it's 19, and the Ranger will
One,
be one more.
one and 19 more, so that's 20.
Yeah, so I think the Ranger is the one because he's 19, and it's going to be another one. So it's going to
No,
be
that's
20.
not. That's not. No. He just said 1 and 19 more because he didn't want to say 20 in the song. He had to make it count,
Make
so
it
he said
rhyme.
1 and 19 more.
Make it rhyme.
I thought like the
He had to
Ranger.
fill in the syllables.
I thought he had one. Or he had 19, and the Ranger was going to be the 20th. Was how I interpret it, but I could be completely
no,
wrong.
I think you're
I don't know.
completely wrong.
I'd have to like go back and listen to it in
Yeah.
context again.
Either way, I'm either getting out of the town or
You're getting out
you know
of Dodge.
you could probably poison him at the bar.
Probably he goes to the saloon. I don't
He
think he
goes-
drinks though.
He
I think
doesn't
he,
drink.
I think he just
Fair.
goes in
He's
and
gotta
is
drink
looking
water.
for Texas Red. I think he just goes into the bar and is like, "Where's Texas Red?"
That's tough.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Mm.
I guess
swiftness of
not
the
poison him.
Rangers
I
we
yeah,
talked
I
about
would
today.
leave town, man. I'm out of there. I'm
Leave
going to
town.
Dodge City.
And you can assume he's pretty intimidating because when he comes into the town, everyone like goes silent and stares at him
Yeah.
Yeah.
when he walks into town.
So you know.
You would and you would hear because you hear about it.
Yep.
You get the forewarning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would take that forewarning.
Oh yeah, because Texas Red hears about it and laughs. I think in the song, like he thinks it's funny because he's like, "And I'm gonna go kill him."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets cocky.
If you haven't heard that song, it's pretty good. Big Iron by Marty Robbins. Mitch is gonna love this. Shout out, Mitch loves
Like I
that
said,
song. Math
like I
Man of the
said.
podcast, Mitch.
Take that song, find it on Spotify or wherever, and add it to every playlist.
Yep.
I don't care if it's a R&B rap. Throw it in there.
There's probably some like
Yeah.
trap I think actually Mitch played me a trap remix.
I have
think so.
I have that as my ringtone.
Really?
Don't you
Maybe
know?
you played it for
Yeah.
me then.
That's my ringtone is that it's like it's all remixed. But if you like that song, listen to The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It's a very close, similar genre song.
I've
Nice.
not heard that one. I'll have to listen to
It's
that one.
good.
Anyway, this actually plays really well into what we're talking about today. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're gonna do like a recommendation episode where we're literally just gonna talk about movies we like and tell you why you should watch them and why we like them.
Yeah.
So that's about it. Pretty casual episode this time. Does anybody want to pitch something to start? We're talking about movies, films, anything.
I'm going to go with an all-time classic, a couple of them. If you have not seen these two movies,
Is one of them The Princess Bride?
yes.
Ah, I got him.
Yeah.
I knew it. I could see it in his eyes.
You have to. You have to. It is a just if you haven't seen it, I mean it gets referenced all the
Yeah.
time.
Let's try to avoid spoilers too, since
Yeah.
we are.
Recommending.
Yeah.
It's an all-time class like quotes.
You were gonna do the quote.
No, I wasn't. I was gonna say I watched that movie recently.
And you didn't like it?
I thought for how much it's referenced, it's a little overhyped. Not that it's a bad movie. I
Had
think
you-
it's a good movie.
Had you not seen it?
I had not seen it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I watched it and I was like, this is going to be a great movie. And it was a pretty good
Oh, yeah.
movie, but I felt like people were pushing me to watch it like the entire time. And I was like, oh, it's got princess in the name. I'm already like, I don't know if I want to watch that kind of movie. But I watched it, thought it was funny.
It's good in the same way
good.
Shrek is good.
Yeah.
But I would watch it again if somebody asked me to watch it
Right.
again. I'm not saying that.
I think it's what when people say they don't like straight up don't like that movie,
Mhm.
I think it's because they don't get the point of the movie.
I think they're
You
the
have
same.
to appreciate one-liners.
I think those are the same people who don't like Holy Grail.
Right. Yep. You have to appreciate one-liners.
Yeah.
And like that feeds the entire movie.
I think if you don't like Monty Python the Holy Grail, you won't like Princess
Right.
Bride. And if you like Princess Bride and you watch it, also watch Monty Python the Holy Grail.
Yes, that was my second one
That- I
actually.
was gonna
Wow,
say
I'm
that one
on
too.
fire.
As soon as Tim said,
between that and it's like if you've already watched Holy Grail and you don't know much else about Monty Python, go and watch Life of Brian as well.
Life of Brian's really good.
I'll-
Holy Grail's better.
I do.
But-
I agree.
Yeah. Just to get a little more into Princess Bride, just get you an idea of what you're getting into. Why don't you tell us don't tell us the story, but give us
like what it would say on Netflix.
Like, yeah,
when
like a
you
tr-
clicked
like a-
on the description.
yeah.
So Princess Bride is.
I also don't
and
think this movie is hurt by spoilers.
it's so
It's a pretty
old.
classic story, but just
Yeah, I was gonna say when did that movie come out? Do you know?
it's in color,
It is in color.
so I don't know.
I think it's always been in
80s?
color.
Yep.
So it's probably
It's probably
yeah.
80s.
It's probably
because
around Monty
Andre the
Python.
Giant, and Andre the Giant was really famous at the time
Yeah.
when they got him
Yeah.
to do it. So
Right.
probably 80s,
Right.
70s, 80s.
Cool. Yeah. So how would I sum up Princess Bride without? I'm not going to worry too much about spoilers, but
it's
a
parody of like the story of like a lone hero trying to rescue a princess.
right. It's like
But
it's your
Robin Hood-esque.
Yeah,
I
Robin
wouldn't even
Hood-esque.
say like Robin Hood. I would almost go more of a you kind of touched on it, like your classic damsel in distress
Yeah, exactly.
kind of story, like the old fairy tales.
You have a guy trying to avenge his father, and like
Yep.
a prince who's trying to rescue a princess.
An evil ruler.
A very like comically evil villain.
Yeah,
yeah.
yep.
So yeah, that's
it's parody. It's parody. So it's like I said, you got to really appreciate one-liners.
it's really worth a watch.
What's your favorite line from that movie?
I am a very vanilla. My name is Inigo Montoya.
Yeah,
You killed
classic.
my father. Prepare
That's
to die.
Famous one.
That is
Yeah, I know it's so basic, but
I would
No, I
have
love
to
that
say my favorite quote from that movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but I'd still say my favorite quote is it's when the Sicilian
my God.
is like sitting down with them with
yeah, something about
Pirate
no-
Roberts.
Yeah,
it's like don't mess with the Sicilian when death is on the line, and
Yep.
then immediately tips over.
do you have
Yeah.
one? You watched
I
it
really-
recently. so-
Yeah, I really like. Well, recently meaning like a couple months ago.
It's
like
more
6
recent
months
than
ago.
I
I
watched.
also like
it.
the magic pill scenes. I love that scene.
I like the monologue when he's talking about the 2 cups. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to
Oh
spoil
yeah,
it necessarily,
yeah.
but
I
Oh yeah.
that
Yep.
whole what do you call it, routine was pretty funny
Yeah.
to me.
Then I talk about Holy Grail.
Mm,
Holy Grail is a parody of the Arthurian legend,
yes,
and
oh my God, it's hilarious.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's one of the funniest movies I've ever
Yeah.
seen, if not the most
Did
funny.
you? Okay, a little off topic on this, one, but like, do you? I think I was watching it with you or something about that.
The
with
three
you.
of us actually watched
I
it.
believe
Right,
we
yeah.
watched it at one point.
Did you? Do you remember though the whole thing with like the whole story behind them like trying to actually make the movie and like nobody would produce it because
Yep.
it was so controversial at the time.
Yeah, it's crazy to think
Or was
that
that
it was
Life of- or was
Life of
that-
Brian is the controversial
Life
one.
of
Yeah, that's true.
Brian
That's
was
true.
probably the one.
We'll talk about that one next.
Yeah. Never mind.
But Holy Grail, it is a different kind of comedy.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's hard to explain too. It's like the jokes are both you have such a combination of incredibly smart jokes, such as like one of the first ones about the guy being oppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one is an incredibly like intelligent
Help,
joke.
help, I'm being oppressed.
Combined
I
with
love that.
literally one of the jokes is a character's name, which is Enchanter Tim.
Yes.
So it's like
I love that.
it
Do you
is-
know the story behind that?
No.
It's like apparently he was like scripted in to have this like super long complicated name and he froze, like he couldn't remember it. So he's just like,
Tim.
my name is, and he paused and he's like,
Yeah, because there is a big pause in it.
Tim. It was so funny. Everyone they just rolled with it. It was
And
hilarious.
just a little background, Monty Python were a sketch comedy group.
Yes.
So they did like a Saturday Night Live type of thing.
Yep.
But of their time. And so then they made a couple movies, one being Holy Grail. So I recommend if you're going to watch any of these three we're talking about, probably Holy Grail.
Yes. By
Holy
far.
Grail. And then I would say Princess Bride. And then I would say Life of Brian.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Life of Brian now. Who wants to do that one?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't?
haven't?
Oh, well, then we're
Ooh.
suggesting you. Life of Brian is about a guy who lived during the same time as Jesus and keeps getting mistaken for Jesus.
Right. It's
And
hilarious.
it's fantastic.
I've seen clips. I think, I
That's
think
the
a
one where
lot
it's
of
like
them are pretty funny.
Up on the cross, he's just like, look on the bright side of life. Do-do, do-do, do-do. This is like the whole like crowd of people just keep crucified singing along.
Is that the same
Great.
one with Caesar?
yes.
Yeah.
Because I will say my favorite line is the one where he's like, "I have a dear friend Bickus.
Yep.
Dickus.
Yes.
And
Stickus.
that was all. That wasn't planned
What
at
is-
all, as from what I read. What I
There's
read.
something funny.
That's entirely improv. The soldiers were told not to laugh, and he just tried so hard to make them laugh, and they're just visibly,
Stickus.
visibly.
Do you think
in
it's
pain.
funny
Yeah.
that his name is Biggest
Dickus.
Dickus? I love that.
He gets inches
I
away from his
love that.
face.
Brian.
I wanted to say on Monty Python though, the part where the Tim part,
Yeah.
Chanter Tim.
they filmed it with film, which is always fantastic
Yep.
because you can turn that to 4K really
Yeah.
easily.
Oh, yeah.
So on the 4K version, you can see, which they wanted to show you on like the standard definition,
Yeah.
but it was a little harder to see. But you can see he's visibly spitting at every single
Yes,
word
I
at
remember
them.
that.
And when we rewatched it in HD, I was like, that's hilarious in
He's just
itself.
spitting
Yeah.
so much too.
So yeah, I would say of those three, Holy Grail, if you're only gonna watch one of them, Holy Grail and Princess Bride, if you're gonna watch two, and if you're gonna watch all three, then yeah, Holy Grail.
Brian.
You're gonna have to
Oh my
rearrange your
God.
order because Blazing Saddles has entered the chat.
Oh, that is a good one.
Ooh.
Controversial as well.
Controversial as well.
Why don't you talk about Blazing Saddles?
Blazing Saddles is set in the Wild Wild West. It's a parody with Mel Brooks as the director. He did Spaceballs. He did Blazing Saddles. He did, what movie did we just talk about?
Princess Bride.
He did
Oh.
Robin Hood, which is
Oh, yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
similar to Princess Bride. Same actor,
Yeah.
same kind of comedy. But anyway, Mel Brooks, fantastic. But it goes about a sheriff that's elected to a town, and when the town is in need, and he has to overcome some difficult stereotypes and such, and differences with the townsfolk to overcome the evil. I guess that's the adventure part of it.
If you're sensitive to racial stuff that was of the time, probably don't watch Blazing Saddles.
Correct.
But it's hilarious. And not because of the racial stuff, that's not what I'm saying, but there are some things that were of the time that
Like when they have to go through a toll booth in the middle of the desert when there's no walls around the toll booth they could easily go around. They turn around and they say, shit, somebody's going to have to go back and get a bag full of dimes.
but it is fantastic. The racial stuff is minor. It's just that
Yeah. It's
I wouldn't
just-
say it's minor.
You gotta understand. Well, see, I've never seen it.
oh,
Really?
I've never seen it, but I can understand. I can kind of get where you're getting at there. It's like it's one of those things you have to kind of understand.
you have to watch it through the lens of when it was made.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And even then it was controversial, but it was done so for the sake of comedy and not for the sake of hate.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think that's a key difference, and
Yeah.
that's why like Life of Brian got so much. Life of Brian was the one that could not get produced.
Life of
nobody
Brian-
would pick it up.
And Life of Brian in no way is a criticism of Jesus.
No,
in
it
no
was,
way.
It was completely
Yeah.
separate.
So the movie even views Jesus as divine.
Yeah.
So like they actually show Jesus as the Son of God in the movie. It's just that this guy happens to keep getting mistaken
Yeah.
for him, and that's
So
the joke.
It's
The
it's-
joke is not
Nobody
"Haha,
got the
Jesus."
joke.
Yeah.
Nobody
And-
got the joke.
Yeah.
Which is the problem.
I think they did a sketch about after they did the film A Life of Brian, and
Yeah.
I think they were putting the point across that everyone, whenever they come up to them, the big like I'm upset at you kind of thing was Life of Brian. That's what people, if they hate the Monty Python group, it's because of Life of Brian.
Yep.
It's not
Yeah.
because of anything
Yep.
else.
Exactly. Have you seen I don't know, I just kind of get caught on Monty Python. Have you seen the like the sketches they recorded as well, like the Ministry of Silly Walks and
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
seen the highlights.
those are good.
Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. Oh, that's a famous one. If you're gonna
Yeah.
watch any of their sketches, watch that one
Yep.
specifically.
Fish
There
slap.
was
I don't think I've seen Fish Slap.
oh, that's a
It's just two guys, and they keep getting bigger fishes to slap each
Yeah.
other with.
it's a classic like
It's kind of a silent film almost.
yeah.
To move away from comedy is but to Blazing Saddles made me think of it. If you want to watch Westerns, this is something, because I love Westerns. And I've had people say to me, like, well, where do I start? Because it is hard to start with, like Unforgiven's a hard one to start with.
Are you thinking Clint Eastwood?
Well, I think even the Clint Eastwood ones are hard. Like Fistful of Dollars, they're hard to start with if you're not used to Westerns.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But if somebody's just like, I want to get into Westerns, that is not what you should tell them. This is the one I usually recommend, and it's more modern. It was in the 90s. I wonder if either of you have seen it. Quick and the Dead with Sharon Stone.
No. Well, I might have.
I've never even heard of it, to be honest.
Well, you should watch this one if you like Westerns, which I know you do. Quick and the Dead is basically, it's got Gene Hackman as the villain, and it's about this town where every year they hold a quick draw competition. And it's led by Gene Hackman, who's a criminal, and this is essentially how he keeps the town in line. And one of his quotes in the movie is like, if you give them a shot at the crown, then they won't rebel. Yeah. So every year he holds this quick draw competition, and he wins every year.
That's pretty cool.
And it turns out that I shouldn't say that because that's a spoiler. Anyway, Sharon Stone's character comes to town and has a vendetta against this guy for some reason. Russell Crowe is also in it.
Russell Crowe's a great actor.
Russell Crowe plays a preacher who used to be a gunslinger, and that's not a spoiler. You learned that pretty early. And they're trying to get him to do the competition as well. It's really good. Quick and the Dead. Highly recommend it.
Okay.
If you're trying to get into Westerns, that's a really good spot to start.
What would you recommend past that? Would you?
I would go from Quick and the Dead to.
I would almost go
Django, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Tim, what would your go-to? I don't know, not necessarily an introduction, but what would your go-to Western be?
If I'm gonna watch any, like just.
Or you have one chance to show somebody.
One Western, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know why. But for whatever reason, and it might not be a good choice to like show somebody as their first Western. I don't believe that, but I really do like Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
That's my favorite Western.
It is.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
It's so good. Between that, like once you get, because that's a trilogy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's loosely.
I believe it's loosely, the third one, actually.
Yep, it's the last one.
Yeah.
Fistful of Dollars is the other. Is
one
of the
A Few Dollars More.
I think
and then
those are the three. Yeah, A Few Dollars More, Fistful of Dollars. I think.
I'm currently watching A Few Dollars More.
And then Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Good,
and
Bad.
Then once getting past that, then I would get into like if you're starting to really like Westerns, then I would go into like the John Waynes.
Yeah.
Right. The thing about John Wayne is
those are hard.
For our tempo that we're used to,
slow.
They are very slow movies.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is as well.
Which it's a good movie to put on when you're working on something, you don't have to pay attention. My Western that I would show people would be Tombstone.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Tombstone.
Who's the main
actor?
Yeah.
There are a lot. Kurt Russell is, I would say.
Okay.
But it's a fairly big cast. The guy from Tornado, but not the one that died of cancer. He's like the skinny one. But anyway, our Twister, not Tornado. But anyway, very good cast. It's filled with celebrities.
Is it like fairly accessible to a new person to the genre?
It is very accessible. It's in the 90s. It's very high paced. It's very Western. It's got those zinger one-liners that you want.
Yeah.
It's got those shootout scenes. It's got, and it's based on a true story. It's based on Doc Holliday. So
to throw another one in there that's a big cast and is very accessible. It's long, but it's just packed full of stuff happening. Hateful Eight.
Oh,
that one's rewatchable too.
I really like the Hateful Eight.
Have you seen the super extended cut?
I don't think so.
It's like he splits it up into episodes, and I think it's like almost literally everything they like taped, because it's like I can't even tell. It's like 6 or 7 hours long. Don't quote me on that, but it is. I don't know if it adds much to the story because you get the gist of it with the regular cut. But
the thing I would say about Hateful Eight is it's crazy story driven, so like you need to pay attention to it.
Right.
I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah.
It's almost
But it keeps you. I mean,
yeah.
it keeps you hooked. So it's
Yep.
not like an
It's
effort.
it's a Western whodunit, and I'm
Yep,
not giving
basically.
nothing away by
Yeah.
saying that.
I think if I was gonna recommend my entry into Western, it would either be Quick and the Dead or Django Unchained.
Mhm.
Those would be my two as starters. But my favorite Western of all time is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So that's mine.
I gotta ask, what is your opinion on? Because I know I kind of know my opinion on it. The newer rendition of Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, it's not bad by any means.
I wouldn't say it's bad, but
I haven't seen either, to be honest.
I haven't seen the original, but the new one it's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny. It's got Denzel is fantastic in it.
yeah, Chris Pratt's in it.
You're that's not the Ridiculous Six, right?
No, Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
I actually think Chris Pratt is probably the weakest link in that movie.
Yeah,
He just feels out of place.
yeah. I don't think he was really ready for a Western.
It just
But yeah, there was a few in that movie that were doing very good.
Denzel was amazing in
Yeah.
that movie. I would
Yeah.
not, if I was like trying to get people into Westerns, I probably wouldn't even mention Magnificent Seven.
No,
Just because
that's
it's barely a Western.
right. It is very cliche
It's very modern.
and modernized. Yes.
Which, I mean, if that's what you're looking for, then
Yeah.
go for that.
But my goodness, I cannot recommend enough. Like if you start to enjoy, like genuinely enjoy Westerns, get into Clint Eastwood, and then if you still want something like more of the
John
original, then go into like John Wayne and the older
Clint
ones.
Eastwood brought in the old feel of a Western,
Right.
but with the action pace that everyone
Yes. That's
is
why
excited
I would
for.
say, like that trilogy
Right.
was probably one of the best.
well, those were made majority in Italian.
Yep, spaghetti westerns.
Yeah, Sergio Leone was the director of those. He was an
Yeah.
Italian
And-
who was obsessed with the American Western.
That is why, if you even get the movie on Blu-ray, A Fistful of Dollars, the words will be off
Yep.
because that is
Good, the Bad,
just
and the
how
Ugly
it's
as well.
filmed. And they didn't go back and fix it when they sent it out, and they didn't fix it now. I don't know if that.
yeah.
The funny thing is, in a lot of them, Clint Eastwood is speaking English, but everyone else is speaking Italian.
It's weird.
I think in A Fistful of Dollars, I think they. Now you've got me thinking. Do they actually like speak Italian during the filming?
Yes, in The Good,
Yeah.
the Bad, and the Ugly, you can visibly tell that they are speaking
Oh,
Italian.
so the words are
and
off
then they dub it.
as well because they're dubbing.
Yep.
Everybody except for Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
I just thought I had a few more drinks than usual that night when I was watching the beginning of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because I was like, something is weird
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I couldn't quite place
The Ugly, especially the guy who plays the Ugly,
Yeah.
you can really see it with him.
Yeah.
He is sometimes he will finish sentences before the word is done.
Yeah.
But let's go to another genre. I was thinking, do you guys like horror?
Yeah,
I
I do.
Because the one I specifically have in mind, my favorite horror movie is Halloween, the original Halloween.
oh, okay.
No, I haven't seen
Yeah.
that.
Ah,
I've seen it. It's just been
Okay,
a
I
long
have to
time.
I have to say I'm more of a fan of thriller than horror.
Okay.
so Halloween is kind of a thriller. So
I think a lot of them are.
yeah, Halloween is about this killer, Michael Myers, not the guy who plays Shrek, but the killer, his name is Michael Myers.
Am I
And he-
not turtley enough for your turtle club?
And it's like his whole shtick is that he's not supernatural. He was competing directly with Jason in the Friday the 13th series, who was supernatural. And Michael, his whole thing was, what made him interesting was he wasn't supernatural. So it was like he basically gets obsessed with this girl and hunts her. And that's all I want to say without spoiling anything. But it's really good. It's really well done. It doesn't feel tropey like a lot of modern horror movies feel, where like they're really
Right.
predictable. It doesn't feel that way. The music, the score is fantastic. The theme to it is so good.
Yes.
And I haven't seen it, but I've heard the modern remake of it is really good. Of Halloween.
I heard a little bit on it. I haven't watched it though.
Yeah.
like the new one.
What were you thinking of when you brought up?
When horror and thriller, my favorite. Now this might be a little controversial, but I think Scream
I don't
1.
know if I've ever seen Scream.
You know, it was like Scary Movie, like
Yeah.
they parodied it, but Scream, like the whole like trilogy, like it just gets less and less serious and more of, well, they're still trying to be serious, but there's a lot of funny parts because there's a lot of bad acting when it comes to like the 4th and 5th one. As for all, like, I don't know, it's not even a trilogy, quintuplet
Yeah.
or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But Scream 1 is the twists and turns of the Scream movies are fantastic. It's something, if you don't get any spoilers, you will be surprised at every single movie at the ending, you know? It's something different. And
I like that.
and it's like a 90s action movie. You can watch it with some friends and some jump scares, and then there's like some suspense, and there's also like just parts to laugh at the bad acting.
Did you have any, Tim?
Yeah. The one, did I lose it? We were talking about what before this? The Halloween?
Yeah,
Michael
Halloween.
Myers, Halloween.
I don't like the Friday the 13th movies, so
Okay.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
suggest any of those.
Have you seen Saw?
I haven't, but I've heard the first one is good.
Yeah, I think Saw, it's kind of equivalent to Scream in the fact that it just gets more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, I've heard that it gets very like torture porny
Yeah.
as it goes.
Interesting.
What were you gonna say?
Children of the Corn.
That is a good movie, but also freaked me out as a kid.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I don't think I've gone back and watched it because I watched it when I was young and it terrified me.
yeah, if you wanna, if you're a little bit younger, or even if you just,
The funny thing
easily
is,
freaked out.
Stephen King, right?
I
think so.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that one is I feel like it's probably not nearly as scary as I remember it being.
Right.
I've just never gone back to it.
Yeah.
It was freaky. I watched it 2 years ago. It was freaky.
Yeah.
It's about a serial killer in the corn, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Have you seen In the Tall Grass? It's on Netflix. It's a Stephen King short that they turned into a film.
I've not.
Terrible.
Terrible?
It
Okay.
is very bad.
Not
The
recommended.
dialogue doesn't make sense. There's parts that make you feel uncomfortable in a bad way. Like not in like a this like
Right.
uncomfortable, like it's visibly uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and it's just
Ew.
awkward, and it's a terrible ending. But if you're looking for that film that you guys just want to rip to shreds with some friends, that's the movie to go to. I've seen it twice just to make fun of it twice.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. Oh, touching on movies with excellent scores, because I know you mentioned that with music
Halloween.
scores. Honestly, I don't know what your opinion is, but I really like the old like orchestrated scores. Like Harry Potter had an excellent.
Pirates of the Caribbean has a really good one.
Caribbean. Lord of the Rings actually has a fantastic one.
A lot of modern-ish movies did have good scores like that. I think most older movies just by default have great scores because they had
Correct.
to, because
Right.
everything had to.
Yep.
I'll watch a terrible movie. I'm an Amazon Prime avid. Like, I'll watch any movie that looks interesting to me, and then even if it's not that good in the middle of it, I'll continue watching. And every movie from like the 60s and 70s have fantastic scores, but they're just, some of them are just
Bad
dead
movies.
bad, you know? So I agree.
Yeah.
The orchestras are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to just throw out stuff that's obscure because obviously we could talk about mainstream stuff, but everybody's already seen that stuff.
Right.
So an
exactly.
obscure movie I saw a while ago that I don't even remember how I found it. It's based on a book and it's called A Monster Calls, and I'd be surprised if either of you have seen it.
No.
No.
So it's about this boy, this young boy, who is dealing with his mom dying from cancer.
Ooh.
And it is an incredibly sad but very like touching and a very like thought-provoking movie. Essentially, this monster comes to him, this massive monster, and it's basically about him coping with the death of his mom. It's terribly sad. So
That's intense.
if you're a person dealing with like any sort of mental issue or like you are depressed or anything,
susceptible to
susceptible for stuff like that, probably don't watch this. But it's really good.
Yeah.
I remember just coming out of it being like, that was awesome. It's an awesome metaphor for grief. It's a Monster Calls. I don't know where you can find it. It's fairly modern. But I remember really liking it.
Ooh. Something that maybe not many people have seen, at least younger people probably haven't seen. The Help. This is getting into more of the historical.
What is that?
So it is.
I believe we had to watch it for a class in high school, but
That explains why I didn't pay attention.
No, I actually really like The Help. It's based in the 1950s, I believe.
It's based
it's
in
not,
that, or it came out then?
It did not come out in the 90s. It's that's the time.
like 2008 or something.
I was gonna say it's
like
fairly recent. But it's set in the 1950s. It's following African American women who are employed as housemaids, and like following them and following a journalist, a young white journalist who is trying to write down their stories because they're so like they're still like heavily quite oppressed as their position back in that time. And it was a good movie.
Would you say it's a feel-good movie? Because that's what I would categorize it as.
I think so. I think so.
Not in
I
a
think
bad way.
No. I like I said, I really actually enjoy it. It is. I would categorize it with to give you some other movies that would, I guess, go along with it.
Hidden Figures.
That's what I was thinking. It sounded like. It sounded like Hidden Figures.
Very
Between
Hidden
that,
Figures.
you're looking at. Trying to think of any other movies that are like that.
So that one reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's pretty new. It's got Viggo Mortensen, who plays the Ranger in Lord of the Rings. The Green Book, I think it is. I don't think it's The Green Book. You seen that? It's
I don't
fairly
think
new.
I've
Have you
heard
seen
of
it?
No.
Okay, it's fairly new. It just came out maybe 2-3 years ago, and I watched it recently, and it's fantastic. It is about a black. It takes place like in I want to say the 50s or 60s, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe even 70s, but probably 50s or 60s. But anyway, it follows this black man who is like a piano player, an amazing piano player.
Yeah.
And he wants to do a concert tour of the Deep South, which at the time was still dealing with a lot of race issues.
Yeah.
And for the current, we don't like to talk about like this type of stuff on this show too often because we're more of a fun show, but for the current political climate, this movie could not be more apt. In a movie that really delves into racism in a way that is not finger pointing, that is not alienating people, that is, I think it did a really good job of providing an honest and fair and just human look at the issue.
Yeah.
And essentially what it is it's a white working class man who is the driver and takes this guy through the South. And it's so good. It's really good.
I think I remember you mentioning that one to me.
Highly recommend it.
Earlier. Speaking of like more, you got any other like more feel good?
I'm not a big feel good movie guy. When I just kind of don't pay attention.
Yeah.
If it's based off a true story and it's not action, I'm like, I kind of fall asleep, and that's
fair.
That's just my opinion.
That's what I was gonna say. If you're looking for a movie that's like The Help in like the I would put with the category would be Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Forrest Gump is a very feel good movie.
Very.
Yeah.
I think Forrest Gump is better than The Help, but I think that it could be in the same category.
That one's a lot more mainstream.
Yes.
Oh, a movie that has a positive message. It's not necessarily a feel good movie, but I think it kind of fits in that category. Beckett, I just watched. You probably haven't heard of it. It's like made in the 60s, which is my favorite time for historical reenactments because it just feels like historical, and it's like in the Middle Ages. It's about the king fighting the church, and it's before the Church of England split off, but it's the crown and the church and the people of England fighting with each other and coming to disagreements and coming to an agreement at the end. And it's really, I thought it was an interesting, and it wasn't necessarily a feel good movie, but it was like had a positive message to it.
Yeah. Getting into more historical, I don't know why, but well, I should take that back, but it's more of what that made me think of was the show Vikings.
Ooh.
I just rewatched it. I don't want to mention shows too much here, but
rewatched it meaning you've watched it once already and you're watching it again. Okay, so it's that good. Okay.
I thoroughly enjoy it. If you like Vikings era or I guess early England stuff, it's honestly I would very much recommend that show. It's six seasons long. Each season is about 20 episodes or so.
Holy cow. Are they 40 minutes long?
Yeah.
Wow,
45 minutes.
That's a long show.
So it's a long show, but it's like it keeps you hooked every time. So I really do like it. Honestly, yeah. I don't know why, but that just made me think of it, and yeah, it's a very good show.
Noah, any historical movies that are?
I really liked The Patriot.
Yes.
It at the time was quite mainstream, but I don't think people really watch it anymore.
It's on Netflix right now.
Yeah, that's Mel Gibson.
Yes.
And it's one of my favorite times in history is the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
I love that time period to like read about and learn about, and that movie is so good. It's about a man who wants to stay out of it, who just doesn't thinks the war is dumb, thinks that doesn't really side with the British or the Americans, kind of just wants to live his life.
Yep.
And kind of gets dragged into it.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the best Mel Gibson movies.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I should go back and watch it. It's been a couple
long.
years. It is long, but man, that is a gut-wrenching, just
Braveheart, also very good.
Yeah.
Also Mel Gibson.
I was gonna say that was another one that kind of reminded me.
Another movie that is historical that is a good movie is Cromwell. It's on Netflix.
Cromwell. About again, Thomas Cromwell?
Thomas Cromwell. Very, very I mean, if you like history and you like haven't heard the story of Thomas Cromwell, I watched it and I couldn't believe how like interesting this story was. It's all about this guy that didn't want to fight he wanted to keep the crown in power. He didn't want to put a parliament system in. And then they convinced him to put a parliament system in. So he puts a parliament system in, and the parliament system gets I don't want to go through the entire story, but I mean, he is just fighting for what he believes in, and what he does surprised even me when I was watching it. Just the absolute gall of this man.
Yeah.
The
and what
stones on this man.
Now, I don't necessarily agree with everything he did, but he really put his mind to what he wanted to do.
I got one more historical one, and I watched it again the other night because I love it, and it's one that I think kind of floated under the radar when it came out, and it's Darkest Hour. It follows Winston Churchill, and it follows the political aspect of World War II. And I think it is so good. And I know it sounds boring because it skips over all the battles, all the fighting, and it strictly follows the politics that went on behind the scenes. And Gary Oldman plays him, who was Commissioner Gordon in The Dark Knight. So It is such a good movie. I love it. I was hooked the entire time. It's great. That's all I can really say about it.
I've not watched it, but I should.
Yeah.
I really should.
It's really good.
Going into, I think that transitions easily in. What's your favorite war movie?
Oh boy, those are hard because I don't like war. I mean, I like watching them. I never feel good after watching one.
Right.
I always.
I don't think that's the point.
They leave a very sour taste in my mouth, and one that does that especially is The Hurt Locker.
Yeah. I'd have to
that
agree.
movie is so sad.
I don't think I've seen that. Again, I'm not a big one for
Yeah.
sad
That one-
and depressing
Yeah.
movies.
The
That
Hurt
one-
Locker is sad.
That one follows a
Bomb diffuser.
bomb diffuser guy.
Who is just messed up in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's dealing with a lot. It's really good.
It's American Sniper-esque. I like this.
Kind
Way
esque
worse.
thing.
Yeah.
Way
I was gonna
worse.
Say.
Yeah,
Way
like
worse.
Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye, is the main
Yeah.
character.
It's
Falcon is also in it. What's that guy's name? Blanking on his name.
Yeah,
What?
I can't remember.
I couldn't
Shoot.
even
Anthony
try.
Mackie.
Oh,
yes.
I was way off.
Yeah, that one is if you want one that's just really gonna give you a good insight to
Oh yeah.
wartime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that one just gets you.
Yeah.
I would have to say after that, I think if you like more realistic movies, I would have to say, it's hard to say it, but 1917.
Haven't seen that one.
Haven't seen it? It's
I haven't seen any of the newer ones.
a
I haven't,
massive one take.
I haven't seen either of the 1917 or 1984.
Okay. Because
1984?
1917.
No, that's the book. What's the other 19 one that just came out?
1944.
Something like that, yeah.
There's a movie 1944 on Amazon Prime. I know.
But 1917 is World War One, and it is essentially like the camera work in it was meant to make it realistic, to make it seem like you were following soldiers through the trenches in World War One. So if you like realism, if you like playing games like Postscriptum and stuff like that, I would watch 1917 because I really liked that one.
Yeah.
And the camera work on it was just fantastic.
I'm a cop out and say Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, that's a classic.
You know,
If you haven't seen Saving Private Ryan, watch it. It's kind of a must.
yeah.
If you're gonna get into like any
Brutal,
sort of
but
historical war movies, that is a fantastic introduction.
So brutal though.
It is.
And then you'll want to watch The Band of Brothers, which I think
series,
I've only
yeah.
seen once, but that's
I've only seen it
that's
once.
a good one.
Series, yeah.
All right, we should probably start wrapping up here. So let's close with each of us. Let's pick one abstract movie that
Okay.
we've seen and we think nobody else has seen, but we want to recommend. I have one in mind, and it's What We Do in the Shadows. It's Taika Waititi directs it, who directed Thor Ragnarok, and it's about 3 vampires living in New Zealand, and it's a mockumentary, like the Office style movie. This fake documentary about these 3 vampires,
Okay.
and it's so funny. It's low budget, and so it's just like a handheld camera, and I think it's so good. So What We Do in the Shadows is mine. Highly recommend.
Interesting. You got one?
I was gonna say if you're anything like me, you'd like movies that are naval based or like British. I like the British Army and like back in like the 1700s.
Yeah.
The Bounty with Mel Gibson, the guy from what's the movie where the guy eats people, the cannibal? Not Hannibal Lecter.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Hannibal Lecter, right? That's his name.
I can't remember the actor's name now.
I can't
Very
remember
famous.
his name, but very famous. He's in that, does a fantastic job. And also Liam Neeson.
Neeson.
Yeah.
Neeson, before he's famous, very young, he plays a minor role. I mean, it's not a big role in the movie, but
Yeah.
it's just funny how you barely recognize him. He doesn't have the hard face of an action hero before this movie, but that film I just watched the other day, fantastic.
I would have to say I'm blanking on the name of the movie because it's been so long.
Well, that makes it hard to recommend it.
Right. I think I'm 90% sure it's called The Crusader. Or something like that.
Batman, the Cape Crusader.
It's essentially set in, let's see, northern England, about around 1100 AD or something like that, where it's essentially a story of a ex-crusader who is trying to become, or is a monk at this point.
Oh.
And essentially runs into, no, it would have been set way earlier, probably around 600 to 800 AD. Well, because he runs into Romans.
Yeah, 1100.
Is Rome. Because he runs into Romans, and we're dealing with he basically has to deal with a
be the Byzantines,
a corrupt Roman officer, and he has to basically strip himself of his monkness. And I enjoyed it. I don't know, like, if it's a very niche movie. I believe it's called Crusader, but
I think any movie where they go through the effort to tonsure or cut the hair off the top of their head to be a monk, that takes dedication, and that's worth a watch to me.
All right, that's probably a good place to wrap it. This one went pretty long, so we're not going to do any emails this week. Sorry. Let us know if you liked this. This is more of a serious one. We won't do these all the time, but it's kind of fun to do something a little different, just talk about movies we like. One thing we've kind of talked about on the side is doing, like, we watch a movie together and then review it. If that's something you're interested in us doing, let us know. That'd be kind of fun.
Just like a short episode kind of flicks.
Yeah.
We tell you what time to pause the movie at, and then we comment while we're watching the movie together.
That'd be cool too, actually. Do like a commentary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. We could put a TV right over there. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let us know if that's something you'd be interested in us doing. We could do it either as a side episode or as a full thing. As always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, morals of the episode, as long as it's legal, I'll read it. Send it to fullofshtpod@gmail.com. That's shit without an I. It's in the description. Anything else I'm forgetting?
Not that I can think of.
Thank you so much for being here, Isaac, for number 2.
You guys didn't introduce yourself at the beginning.
Oh, that's true.
Well, it's too late now.
I'm kidding. I'm not sure if you did or not.
We probably did. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. As always, if you want to share with a friend, that would really help us out. And we'll see you next week. Bye.